All right, plenty still ahead for you, of course, on the agenda. We're watching a number of developing stories, including the one in Alexandra. That's where City Power is really full out on the ground, disconnecting some of the illegal connections that have really proliferated throughout that particular township. Chriselda Lewis is part of our team on the ground, and we've really been keeping up with her for much of the morning as we've watched this operation continue. And Chriselda, I understand we might finally get word from City Power officials about what the strategy is here, and hopefully we'll get answers about how they're going to prevent a repeat of these illegal connections in that township.
Well, that's right, Ayanda. In fact, City Power officials continue with this operation here in Alexandra. You'll see some of them right in front of the camera there. If I could ask my colleague Masabatara Litabo just to continue showing us those visuals. They continue to basically cut off these cables. You'll see on some of these main roads, in fact, this is one of the main roads here in Alexandra, and it's really proven to be a challenge for City Power. What we do understand, as I indicated in my previous crossing, what we earlier indicated was there'd been a challenge with regard to them disconnecting these illegally connected cables, and as a result, days later you have another challenge as well of these being reconnected as well. Speaking to some of the officials a bit earlier on, they've been telling us that they've been met with lots of resistance every time they need to come to this area to try and disconnect these cables. It's been a challenge for them in the sense that days later it's basically back to square one at this particular point, and the concern for them is that some of their officials aren't able to work in these areas at all because they're met with resistance with pelted stones once they try to restore a semblance of order here. A very small percentage, I do understand. Let me try and speak to this gentleman as well here, and we'll get to City Power in just about a moment. But just tell us what the situation is here in Alexandra with regard to the electricity situation.
Okay, regard to the electricity situation.
Ungakhuluma baba if uyafuna.
Okay, nna ke mo pedi ke a bolela.
Gona taba ntate.
Thobela. O le bona la bothata bo ba motlakase mo Greenville. Ke bothata bo leng gore esale re le bana le bona nako telle lang kwishisha. So re sale re gopela mo councilor gore mo council at least man.
All right, so let's try to bring in City Power's Isaac Mayena. Isaac, thank you very much indeed for your time. So you've been on this operation since this morning. Tell us so far what it is that you found.
So basically we are currently busy with this operation to cut off illegal connections in Alexandra along London Road. This is one of those areas where we've had instances, which is basically a hotspot of illegal connections, and we're doing this because of the problem of capacity that we're having. You'll remember that we introduced load reduction recently, a few months ago, so that we can deal with this capacity constraints that we're dealing with. And most of this is due to the informal settlements like these ones, which are basically stealing electricity, and they're inconveniencing the people on the other side, the formalized houses, who are actually, even currently as I'm talking to you, do not have electricity. So we are doing these cut-offs so that we can basically address that problem of illegality that is happening.
I understand there's a very small percentage of revenue that you actually get from Alexandra. Are you able to elaborate on that for us in terms of how much the losses are? Yeah. All right, there seems to be a bit of...
So basically we are about 11% of the residents of Alexandra are not paying for electricity, which is a serious problem for us as City Power, because that is the money that we need to ensure that we keep the lights on, to ensure that we can basically be able to replace some of the infrastructure that get damaged or blown up due to these capacity constraints. As I'm talking to you, for the past in the past 2 months, we have had to replace about 5 mini substations across the road, which is where this community is basically stealing electricity because of the overloading of those mini substations, and that blew up. That is a lot of money that we are losing, but we are not drawing the same revenue from this community, and that's something that we have actually started discussing with the councillors and the community, that they really need to start paying for this electricity so that we can reinvest in the infrastructure, so that we can reinvest in the maintenance of the very same infrastructure that brings them electricity.
So, Mr. Mangena, you were in Rabbit Ridge on Wednesday. When we left there when we speak to community members, they're saying that they are going to reconnect themselves, of which is something that has been happening for quite some time. Even here, you can see people are very furious and saying that they will definitely reconnect. How do you deal with such instances, and have you ever went back to Radish to check the situation?
So after the operations, we always leave the security.
All right, sanibonani mama kunjani mama ndiyabona nje ukuthi anikho right
Sikho right ithando sami ingxaki sinabantwana baye ezikolweni and then asisebenzi sisaphelelwa ngumsebenzi ngeCovid sesiphila ngama 350 namali abantwana so asinagesi ngoku nisicimele fine ugesi but naselokishini abawuthengi ugesi ngoku abantwana bazabuya esikolweni belambile sizabaphekela ntoni because iparafine iyadura iliter 28 rand asinayo lo mali batakwethu ngicela ukuthi ulento government asixabangele nathi kule ndawo esihlala kuyo ayikho right lento abayenzayo
mama uthi ayikho fair lento nihleli kakubi apha Alexandra
sihleli kakubi sisi sihleli kakubi since safika la sifika apha 2010 kodwa ukabi 2014 kodwa ukabi khonto icecayo xa bethetha nathi bathi sikhome phi kodwa xa befuna ukuza ukuthi befuna ama votes bayawathola sibanika the way bafuna ngakhona but bastreeta ingathi singama immigrants and as a result Alexandra wonke umuntu akabhatala igesi abantu ababhatala ugesi Alexandra ngabantu abanamabhondi kuphela but thina street ingathi singabantu bangaphandle
enkosi kakhulu mama as you can see here some of the police nyalas that have also been deployed here to Alexandra. As you can see, some of the residents are not happy with what is taking place. They're saying that their children are going to come back from school, they will not be able to cook for them. It's cold, but of course City Power indicating it's got to do its job. The revenue that it's drawing from Alexandra is not enough in comparison to what it's supposed to be getting from here. We did speak to Isaac Mangena a bit earlier on from City Power. Isaac, let me bring you in once again. A bit of discontent, as would have been expected from the people of Alexandra. You've also brought in police to assist with this operation. Just remind us again, you were talking about the revenue that is being generated from Alexandra, which is not enough. Just remind us once again.
So about a year ago, we used to basically have only 4% of the residents of Alexandra paying for electricity. But we have embarked on an operation or campaign to ensure that we install meters in most of the areas so that people can start buying electricity. And we are seeing now only 11% of the residents of Alexandra buy electricity. And that is not enough to basically offset some of the losses that we are making here. The theft of electricity, as is done by this informal settlement and many others, is very serious, and it costs us a lot of money in terms of the infrastructure that blows up. On the other side, like I said, we've had to replace about 5 mini substations in the past 2 months. This is 700,000 each, those mini substations. And as such, those are some of the things that are really pushing us to ensure that we get these people to start buying electricity and to ensure that at least they do what is right and contribute to the revenue.
Isaac, thank you very much indeed. We do appreciate your time. If you just take a look at, you see residents here, City Power officials asking these residents to please just tone it down a bit. You can tell that they're a bit upset by what is taking place here as they pull these cables. Police also being brought in there, just right next to me to ensure. Just take a look right up there, Masabata. That's where that entire pole is being pulled from. That's where these connections are being connected from. Also concern some of these residents saying, why not cut this cable instead of pulling it? I think they're quite afraid of the damage that is going to be caused here. You'll see just below that pole as well, that is someone's house. So at this particular stage, the residents here certainly seem a bit upset about what is taking place here and are asking City Power officials. Well, most of the sentiment that we've been hearing, they've been asking City Power to put in electricity for them here. They argue, or at least some of them have indicated, that they're willing to pay. They say that if they're able to, or if City Power is able to, if City Power is able to ensure that it does put some electricity for them here, well, they claim they're more than prepared to pay at this particular stage. I'm going to just stay with these visuals with us for a little bit there, Isaac, and we'll certainly tell you All right, I actually said Isaac there because I'm really trying to just maneuver through where we are at this point. I'm going to ask my colleague Masabata just to come with me towards this direction, and it seems officials are certainly heeding the call by these residents to instead cut this cable instead of pulling it. So they're not very happy with what is taking place. Law enforcement are also here to try and ensure that this operation goes ahead without any hindrance as more residents keep coming out. As more residents come out and basically saying that they're cold. Why is it that they're not allowed to have electricity? But when we ask them, are they willing to pay for it if City Power is able to provide that electricity? Some of them have said to us that are not. Some of them have indicated that they are more than willing to pay for the electricity. They just want it to be installed for them. But
like people are willing to pay, right? People are willing to pay. City Power. Just that our officials are City Power as insulters. City Power so apply people are willing to pay for Rumban. What about so
Puti, thank you very much indeed. Some of the residents saying that they've applied for electricity, but nothing has happened. You've seen our officials have managed to disconnect that electricity cable that was connected illegally from this particular area. And police continue to be on alert here in Alexandra because previously, as you've indicated during your previous crossing to me there, Ayanda, is that in this particular area, residents don't take kindly to what is taking place here. A number of these operations that have taken place in Alexandra, and certainly having to come back once again, back at this location. I also understand that this is not the first time that City Power has been to this specific location, but as I indicated a bit earlier on, it's a bit of a cat and mouse game where once they disconnect this electricity, and you see so much cabling is here, so many of these cables. As I earlier indicated, this is definitely a very huge business. It's a huge business. There's absolutely no way that all of this is being done for free. It is a huge business. They're obviously, all right, some of these residents clearly not happy about what is taking place here. We'll stay on these visuals here. These women who have gathered here. All right, we're going to try and move from here. I think, police have really been moving. Police have really tried to move with these officials as tried to move with these officials as I think the residents become more irate over the situation here in Alexandra. But the police Nyala, as you can see right here in front of me, well on hand to deal with any situation as a result of this operation which is underway. We're moving from this area now. I'll just walk with my colleague Masabata Ralitabo towards this particular direction, and I know, in fact, we'll wait just a little bit and wait for that truck to move. It seems like we are moving to another area at this time, but it moves. Let's just move away for this police Nyala to make its way. Masabata, just stand right where you are. We're right in the middle of the road here, and you can see quite a large police contingent which has been deployed to this particular area to ensure that this operation does go ahead smoothly. So this is where we are in Alexandra at the moment, And this is London Road, right? Yeah, this is London Road, this huge area. Take a look here as more of these cables are taken away from this particular area. So we're expecting a bit of that resistance, we're expecting some of that resistance from the residents in the different areas in Alexandra that we go to. And many of them, I guess, in the conversations that we've had with them, are very upset over what has taken place. Some of them carrying their children, saying it's cold. They've applied. The last person I spoke to did indicate that they'd applied for electricity, but they said nothing has come of it thus far. A concern for City Power as well is the fact that every time they embark on these operations, of course, residents do become upset. Hence, you see the high police contingent that is accompanying City Power officials on this operation in which they are embarking on. But certainly, we'll continue to monitor the situation from the ground, Ayanda, and we'll stay here a little bit until they move from this area to the next. In fact, this truck seems to be moving at this particular point, and we'll just stay with it for a second. I'm not sure which direction we're moving towards, but take a look at the cable as it moves. Tons and tons of this cable that has been stripped and cut off some of these areas of concern for City Power. Take a look, the large police contingent that is also here. Just take a look there, about, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, about 12 police officers in this particular area. Obviously, we knew certainly that this is what the situation was going to be like, given the fact that residents, just take a look towards that direction as well, residents pointing a bit angry over what is taking place here. We'll give you some of those visuals live, just a little bit from the police officers here, right towards that area. You have residents that are very upset over what has taken place here. But obviously what we've heard from City Power's Isaac Mangena is that only 11% of the revenue is what they're drawing from Alexandra, and that's not enough. He told us about a number of substations, 700,000 rand each, that they've had to replace as a result of the overloading and the connections on some of its infrastructure. So it's of huge concern as residents, of course, also feel that their concerns should be heard. What I'm hearing quite a lot as well, Ayanda, is the fact that these residents are saying that they've been applying for electricity and nothing really has come of that. So that is all we're hearing at this particular point from these residents, concerned that when their kids come back from school a bit later on, they are not going to be able to prepare any food for their children to eat. But obviously the city of Johannesburg has long indicated that it's concerned about non-paying residents, who they say should be paying for. All right, should be paying. All right, let's move towards this area. There seems to be something. Okay, there seems to be. All right, let's run. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. There seems to be something taking place here. All right, Ayanda, just stay with me for a second there. We're seeing police heading towards that area. There seems to be something taking place. Just keep it. All right, you've got police running in. All right. Seems to be some concern. All right. Just, Ayanda, stay with us for a second here. There seems to have been some concern, and we saw police running. We saw police running towards this area. We're not quite sure what is happening. All right. It seems they might have found some areas, other areas that may have been problematic for them, and this is where they're pulling more of these cables from at this particular stage. Ayanda, I'm not sure if you're still with me at this particular point, but what seems to be at this particular stage is City Power officials who have been concerned about, on almost every single one of these houses, there seems to be a bit of a challenge for some of the officials. So it's quite a huge task, if I must say, Ayanda. A huge task in this instance. Whoa! Hey, just whoa, guys, be careful. Whoa! All right, some of these connections are actually a bit of a problem. Masabata, I'm going to ask you to please come this way. Let's actually try to stand on top of this. 1 second here. All right, 1 second, guys, please. All right, sorry. Could you try? Thank you. Please don't fall. All right, we're actually going to try and stand here and have a look at where some of these cables are being pulled from. It's a bit of a dangerous exercise because we too have had to move our heads so that we're not hit by some of this infrastructure that is being pulled from here. It is a bit dangerous. I'll ask my colleague Masabata to walk with me this way. I'm going to need to hold you, Masabata, and just have a look at that point right over there. Moving on to houses that are really built right on the top of this area. All being pulled from here. It's a bit of a complex operation that I think they would need. A bit of a complex operation that these city power officials would need to embark on. We're walking on a bit of a wall here at the moment, and please be careful. All right, we'll just show you what's happening there. Right, if we just take a look at what's happening on top there. Masabata, I'm going to ask you to please just be a little bit careful as we walk. All right, in fact, let's stand right here. We're not able to get right on there. We managed to get on this wall that we're standing on. And this is, of course, all right, this is where these officials continue to remove some of these illegally connected wires here. Almost all of these houses here. Of course, hearing from Isaac Mangena, the spokesperson of City Power, he of course did indicate that at some point they only had 9% of revenue coming from Alexandra, but they've managed to put some programs in place, and as a result of that, they've indicated that that revenue has since come up to about 11% of the revenue that's only being drawn from Alexandra at this point. So for them, of major concern at this point is some of the discontent that we've seen from the residents here. And every time that they're able to disconnect some of this illegally connected wires in a couple of days, it's like an exercise where you disconnect, and in a couple of hours' time, you have a lot of this being put right back up again. So City Power indicating they're not going to stop with the process of trying to educate this community about the importance of having to pay for electricity. It's a bit of a tough one in this particular area. Incredibly overcrowded for those who may not understand the geography of Alexandra, and what we're hearing from the city of Johannesburg, that it's been very difficult for them to try and get residents to pay for utilities, including electricity at this particular stage. So most of this has been removed from these homes here in Alexandra. I'm going to ask my colleague Masabata Ralitabo to stay on those visuals for you to get a sense of what is taking place towards that particular house there. So on the other hand, you have residents who are saying that they're willing to pay if City Power does install electricity for them. And of major concern, you know, we've covered a number of stories where we've heard about, little children, as well as some of the elderly as well, who have died or have been choked, just going over, walking over this electricity. So it's a bit of a challenge for residents and even City Power, I guess, in this particular area. I'm going to hand it back to you, Ayanda, and I'll come back to you a little bit later on.
No, fair enough. Chriselda Lewis, live to us there from Alexandra Township as we continue with our rolling coverage of City Power's operation to try and disconnect illegal, I beg your pardon, connections in that particular township.